before we pledgely vote you out, I'd rather see you in an orange jumpsuit. I'd rather see you locked up because you doing the most heinous crime. And Trump, get DOJ and get this man out of office.
There are some individuals that want chaos to occur because those interests benefit from chaos, and they will pit communities against one another to fulfill their political goal.
So Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson yesterday during a news conference after a city council meeting where council did not approve a budget. We've got less than 3 weeks here before the city has to approve a budget, or else you could see the government shut down in Chicago. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop with you each and every weekday morning here for the Center Square. Go to thecentersquare.com to get the latest headlines in your inbox by signing up for the newsletter. You can find this podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus. And of course, subscribe to this channel. We're live each and every weekday morning, breaking things down for what's happening in the land of Lincoln. So let's get to it. Yesterday was a Chicago City Council meeting. It was a shorter meeting than they usually have. Usually they go all day, but this was just a 2-hour meeting. And at the beginning of each meeting, you have public comment period. It's 30 minutes set aside. Several people did get up and supported, for instance, keeping line items in the budget for summer jobs for youth. You had others pushing for more finances to help with, flood damage. You have support for other efforts that aldermen have in their proposed budget, but things still not coming together. And of course, in the city council meeting, you had residents standing up, sharing their thoughts. Dennis White's one of them who regularly gets up there to share his thoughts, and here's some of what he had to say yesterday.
You are an anti-American, Brandon Johnson, because you commit a heinous crime. Ralph, excuse me, are you paying attention to what I'm saying, sir? Because I'm still talking on my time right now. When you on my time, the attention go on to the speakers, not to somebody else who you want to talk to, Brandon Johnson. Now, you committed a black-on-black crime. That black-on-black crime is you raising property taxes on the south side and the west side of Chicago right offhand. When you over here allow teen takeover and stuff, you trying to justify you don't want nothing to happen. Now, a 14-year-old boy is over here, their parents is getting ready for another funeral. And your kids are safe with 150 police details. So when you over here talking about we want to put skin in the game to raise corporate taxes and stuff, you want to tax the rich, but you got $5 million in the CTU pension plan. You need to tax yourself on that one right there, but you're not going to do that. And then you got your cronies like Jess Fuentes, Andre Vasquez, Cincho Lopez, all the Hispanic KKKs over here trying to distract us with the anti-ICE protests and stuff. We want these illegal out. That's right. We want them out now. This right here is the Constitution. Some of y'all know it, some of y'all read it, but some of y'all don't respect it. And the first thing it say, we the people. It doesn't say Brandon Johnson. It doesn't say we the politician. We're going to get you out that seat. But before we pledgely vote you out, I'd rather see you in an orange jumpsuit. I'd rather see you locked up because you doing the most heinous crime. And Trump, get DOJ and get this man out of office.
So again, Dennis White, he's shared his thoughts before, similar in previous city council meetings. But you had also Danielle Carter Walters get up and share her thoughts. But before she did, she aired some of Brandon Johnson's words.
There are lines of Chicagoans right now of people who do not have food, you guys. And if you've never gone hungry, you wouldn't know why I have that urgency. If you've never opened up your refrigerator and there's nothing in it, the poverty sucks. Corporations are making a killing right now, and we have alders that are more interested in defending these big corporations than families like mine who went without food and electricity and could not afford rent and mortgage. Give me something I can work with.
What in the Tyler Perry movie audition is this? Okay. With the fake cries, what is this? See, we know what it's like. We knew what it was like last year when we came down here and we begged these aldermen, this Grace 50 aldermen, and you not to spend our money on illegal aliens, to put it in our communities. We begged you for it. So we know what it was like when we was down here begging you for it last year. We know what it's like when Bionomics was in full effect. We know what it's like right now when my property taxes, right now, bill came out. And we're trying to figure out how we're going to stay in our homes, senior citizens that's on a fixed income, trying to figure out how they're going to pay these high property taxes. Me trying to figure it out. So, oh yeah, we know what it's like. But we know you don't know what it's like. You in your administration that's getting these raises. Let's talk about these raises.
And she went on to name several people who are possibly going to get raises within Chicago city government. One was upwards to $50,000 in a raise, and she proceeded to name the individuals, how much money they could get, and at least one proposed budget idea, and she did that all the way up until her time was done. But then after the Chicago City Council meeting yesterday, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson held a news conference and started talking about some of the details here and what he won't support, and the word veto was thrown around several times.
Did you see anything in the rival budget plan formally introduced today to the city council that you could support, or are you standing firm on your threat to veto any budget plan that includes an increase to the garbage fee?
Well, let me just say that I do appreciate the effort, the ongoing effort of members of the city council to provide some, not just feedback to my proposal, but give me something else to consider. I have not gone completely through the document. I tried to use some of the time that I had to look through it. What I did see was still nearly the doubling of garbage collection fees. I don't support a budget that places such an incredible burden on working people at a time in which President Trump has made life quite difficult for working people across this country. The city of Chicago should not be adding to that burden. And so, no, I cannot support a budget that nearly doubles the garbage fee for working people.
So the mayor saying he's not going to support any budget that has a garbage collection fee increase. And he was asked about it again with that word veto being thrown around.
Just to clarify, earlier you said you do not support a budget with increase to the garbage tax.
I do not.
And you would veto such a plan.
Yep.
Is that something, I know that you've been opposed, is that something that you would veto as if it gets approved?
Well, you know, look, I guess that's the word of the day, veto. I have not made that type of, I have not taken that position. What we have said from the very beginning, you know, banning sales for people under the age of 21 and having
He's talking
stronger
about hemp
regulation is important. Now. I think we should, you know, pay closer attention to see what happens at the federal level.
So again, a lot of different variables worked in. What about banning hemp? Another question there. But ultimately, with the budget timeline here, they've got until the end of the month to pass something. And what is that ultimately going to look like? Some aldermen and even some states representatives have urged the city of Chicago to legalize video gambling. Listen, video gambling is legal across the state of Illinois, but Chicago is allowed to obviously not have it, so they have to allow for it. But here in Springfield, I mean, you've got around every corner, there's a video gaming parlor. There's video gaming in practically every restaurant and bar. It's all over the place, but not in Chicago. What about that idea of video gambling and finding some revenue that way for the city instead of going after businesses or increasing property taxes?
A counter-proposal from Alderman shared today lists video gambling terminals, legalizing them and taxing them as a part of their budget. Do you support that? Why not? Do you think it's regressive?
Well, we're going to look at, all of what has been proposed. My team is going to scour through and look at some of the projections that some members of the city council have put forward. But I can tell you, though, whether it's that particular revenue stream or others, it's evident from conversations that we've had that even individuals who signed on to the proposal have admitted that they don't support everything on the proposal. Right, so this is going to be an ongoing conversation.
This is something that's come up before in council. What did
It
you think
has, right, and there was some consternation and some, trepidation around it. So this is why, we've been encouraging people for some time to put these ideas forward so that we're not cramming in discussions at the very last minute. But
that's what's happening. It's coming up to the very last minute, and they're still having these conversations and hashing out details. Very similar to how the state of Illinois puts their budget together when it comes to last minute changes and not having a full vetting of the budget before it's ultimately passed. I mean, they have come into session January, February, March, April, May, and then they drop the budget. Why don't they get it started in April? I've heard people ask, but who knows? But the chaos is something that Johnson says he's hoping to avoid.
so he likely was speaking of ideas that will be implemented over time. So yes, there are a lot of good ideas out of there. I think the best idea was when I signed the executive order to commission the gathering in the first place.
Hey there.
Hey,
Based on the developments of today, since we talked to you 24 hours ago, do you believe that the final budget will be passed by the end of the year?
it has to be, right? Look, I'm going to do everything that I can to avoid the chaos that, quite frankly, there's some... There are some individuals that want chaos to occur because those interests benefit from chaos, and they will pit communities against one another to fulfill their political goal. I'm going to do everything in my power to avoid that type of chaos because nobody benefits from that except for the handful of people who have become accustomed to controlling and dominating government.
What's going to happen? We'll be watching, and I think might actually mean that we'll be watching into the holidays as to what happens in the city of Chicago with how they're going to spend Chicago city taxpayers' money and what kind of things they're going to be looking for the state government to do, and that means you, the state's taxpayer. All right, it's Illinois in Focus Daily with us each and every weekday morning. I'm Greg Bishop, editor of the Center Square. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and get the newsletter in your inbox each morning. Go to thecentersquare.com/Illinois and click newsletter and sign up today. All right, it's Illinois in Focus Daily.